Shalom, it's me, that is I am. And today I'm going to go over Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15. Unrighteous judgment. Y14, count me in. All right, family, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I have been studying a little bit of Hebrew, okay? And I actually want to share it with you on this podcast. I will be reading Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15 in Hebrew, okay? So Hebrew scholars, if you're listening to me, please keep in mind, I am not a Hebrew scholar, okay? So don't do that. All right, let's go. And I also want to tell that I wrote my little notes, if y'all can see that. Drew my symbols and circled everything so I could understand. Okay. Now, it's not the best, but let's get into it. Lo tot asu avel amishpat lo tisa penadal valo tadar paneg adol kashadek teshpot ametaka. Okay, now what I read once again was Leviticus 19, verse 15. And in English from our Torah, it states, "You shall not render an unfair decision, do not favor the poor, or show difference to the rich. Judge your kinsmen fairly." Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and get into that beautiful law to open up today's discussion, shall we? Now, when it comes to people being in positions, whether it be a moray, to include parents, khan or boss, etc., you're in positions to judge someone whom you see may need guidance. God, and if they are in error, you are to judge righteously now, upholding the Torah against whomever is supposed to be held up against. Now, it can be a time where you may see yourself in the midst of an adversity between you, to include your spouse, or to include you, a fellow brethren, or to include you and a boss. Okay? But you have to always keep in mind the same Torah principles that you speak on. One day they will be tested. Okay? And when they are tested, you have to ask yourself, who do you submit to? Do you submit to Yahweh, the Elohim of Yisrael, or do you submit to flesh? And please keep in mind, when you submit to flesh, this is the same flesh that Yahweh, the Elohim, created to put in your life, to include. This could be the same flesh that Yahweh put in your life to test you. All right, now, in our opening precept, we just read Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15. Now, let's go ahead and dive into our wisdom from Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10. Okay? All right, yeah. That is I. I should be in Proverbs too. I wasn't always. I love me some songs. But yeah, when it comes to getting wisdom, you got to go all around the board to get it. All right, let's begin. Proverbs, verse 10 from chapter 9. It states, the beginning of wisdom is the fear of Yahweh. Okay? And knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Now, when you truly have fear of Yahweh and you've done something incorrectly, that you know Yahweh detests, such as a lying tongue, deceit, you will empower that same fear that you have in Yahweh and tell the truth. Okay? Now, some people, they do shy away from telling the truth because of the simple fact they don't want to be met with the guilt or the punishment behind them speaking. But in fact, you have to remember, where does your fear lie? It's supposed to lie in Yahweh. Okay? If you have no fear in Yahweh, then should one expect you to tell the truth? No, don't think so. All right. Now, for those who may feel that, oh, my lying tongue, or oh, my deceitful actions are forgivable. In fact, they very well may be. However, you cannot miss these important precepts, which state about a lying tongue and how it is an abhorrent to Yahweh. And those are Proverbs 6, verse 17, Proverbs 12, verse 22, Zechariah 8, verse 17. And the list does go on. That's just to name a few. All right. Now, example given. Let's say you may be out at a store, okay? And somebody walks up to you and they accidentally drop something in the midst of having a conversation with you, right? And they walk off and you look around, make sure anybody see that, right? And you pick it up and you put it in your pocket. And then the person that walked by you, they turn around and say, hey, did you see if I might have dropped such and such and such? And you were like, no, you didn't drop anything, ma'am or sir. You know, you have a good day, and you hurry up and get off that aisle. You committed deceit. Deceit first was not just from you saying it out your mouth. Deceit first, it became a thought in your mind. And deceit is a form of wickedness. Deceit is a form of witchcraft. Deceit is where you knowingly think that you can say something to someone to gain some type of control over that person via their mental state now, so that you can get away with something. That is an action of witchcraft. That is deceit. Now, Better Zion, she is very passionate when it comes to deceit and when it comes to a lying tongue. Because why? My Elohim, Yahweh, is very passionate about deceit and very passionate about a lying tongue. If he hates evil, I am to hate evil. Because after all, I do fear Yahweh, not man. Okay? So that's the big difference. Now, you may find yourself in a situation where you may be amongst other people, in a group setting, right? And everybody heard something that was mentioned, but nobody will speak on what was mentioned, So the person who said something, right, and it was heard by millions of people, and once confronted, they tend to be deceitful in what they said, acting as if they do not remember what they said, but everybody else heard it, Salakia, right? That would make that person in contempt. That would show that that person does not have no fear of the Most High Yahweh at all. Okay? Because once again, if you have fear of Yahweh, you will not be out here committing deceit, which is something that Yahweh frowns upon. Okay, let's continue. False balances and false weights. Proverbs 11, verse 1, and Proverbs 20, verse 23. All right. So if these beautiful precepts speak to us upliftingly and wholeheartedly about false weights and false balances, what makes you think that Yahweh once again is going to deal with any falseness, deal with any deceit, deal with any lying tongues? I don't hear nobody response. Okay, because he's not. He's not at all. No. All right. Now, let's go a step further, family. When your weight is tested within this Torah, whether it be, once again, a family member, a friend, a boss, or anything like that, you have to be mindful when you are sitting in positions for a judgment that you shall not take a bribe. And some people, they do think taking a bribe looks like monetary value, and that is not always what it is. A bribe can sometimes be a union that you may have with the Isha or Isha. A bribe can sometimes be, the thought of you possibly losing your job if you stand up for what is right. A bribe can also look like, you possibly losing a friendship if you stand for what is right. But when did not correcting somebody in error actually work out for their benefit? When you do not correct anybody in error, do you or do you not think that the foolish will continue to be foolish? Right or wrong? And you can definitely find that once again, in Proverbs. Now, if you go to your precepts and you read Isaiah 5, verse 23 through verse 24, it does talk about taking the bribe, as a leader, in this truth. To include, it does not have to just stem in this truth. It can also be a leader within Babylon. So if you're out here and you willfully are standing up for what is right via the Torah, right? And it comes that day when Yahweh uses someone closest to you to test you. To include, it might be somebody close to you whom you barely know. And yes, that is a true thing where you can gain a whole lot of respect, a whole lot of love, a whole lot of admiration for someone that you only knew in a short amount of time. And they showed themselves extremely just, extremely trustworthy, extremely loyal, not just to Yahweh, but unto you as well. That would make you want to have and gravitate towards them in all respect levels. So when you have someone whom is on your side now, that is someone you may not know that well, right? But like I said, they display Salakia, all the attributes that I just mentioned. And then you have someone on the other end whom you knew for 40, 50, 60, 70, sometimes 100 years. And they display something that is unjust towards someone else now, and you are being the judge in that matter, the mediator in that matter. You have to then step out from that role that you are to this person. Step out from that role that you are to this person and evaluate the judgment call based on Torah, not based on your feelings, not based on your relationship with either party. Because in Leviticus 19, verse 15, it states to judge your brethren fairly. Everybody gets the same judgment across the board. So when you are swinging the sword, be mindful. You have to swing the sword in your own backyard as well. All right now. So 1 and 2 things that we need to take away from today's topic is that, yes, it is easy for you to stand on a platform, such as this, or Facebook, anywhere, right? And make it very known that you are have fear, Salakia, in Yahweh. You love his precepts. All his words will come to pass because they will, You can display all that, but when it comes time for you to take your test, ask yourself, am I going to pass? Am I going to pass? Ask yourself, if I make a righteous judgment call on this, is it going to affect the relationship I have with this person? Or is it going to reflect the relationship I have with this person? Or who should it really affect? The cause should ultimately affect the Most High Yahweh. That's who the call should affect. If you find yourself in a situation where it is uneasy for you to make that call, take it to Yahweh. You take it to Yahweh. Because Yahweh is not going to tell you to favor the rich over the poor. He's not going to tell you that. And taking it to Yahweh does not look like just constantly praying on it. That's not how that looks. It looks like, yes, one main fact also is to pray. But the second thing is to get inside your word. Let your word speak for the situation that you are in. The word from the Most High Yah. Everything he has in this beautiful Torah, in this beautiful Tanakh, it does reveal itself again and again and again, time and time and time. The word never changes. The faces of the people are the ones that change when you are making a righteous judgment call. You cannot have your feelings in a righteous judgment call, regardless of who it is. You cannot do that. Now, one thing about me that I do know about myself, when I am extremely passionate about something, such as the law, I'm going to come full force about it. Full force about it. I'm going to do that. It may come off as aggression. It may come off as being upset. It may. It also is passion. It's passion, respect that I have for the Most High Yahweh. That's what it is. And I will not be me, Baht of Zion, a daughter, a daughter of Yahweh, a daughter of the promised land, a daughter of the kingdom, if I do not fear Yah and want to hold what is right according to his laws, his statutes, and his commandments at all times. At all times. Now, one thing I can say about me when it comes to my flaws are always seen on social media. I cuss. Yes, I do. I use foul language. Yes, I do. We've all seen it. I've seen it myself too. Sometimes I'll be like, girl, you couldn't just, it took two cuss words off. Sometimes I see it too. I absolutely do. But the difference between me and any other person whom I have noticed on social media now is that I will not hide my flaws. I do not hide my flaws because it comes with too much work. It comes with too much work. Slack. It comes with too much work when you have to hide your flaws. Because one day you might be up on camera and a good message might be coming and somebody might interject and you might jump in and say something to expose yourself. And then when you get turned around and hit with the missile, you want to backtrack what you said as if you don't remember saying that. But that right there is definitely minimizing, self-deflecting, and not owning accountability for what you did, the action that you displayed. If you already just come out with your flaws as they are up front, then you don't have time to sit there and think about how I can correct this real quick, or how can I make myself still be in the good light amongst other people. Stop being worried about other people. Don't be worried about other people. Worry about you. Worry about how you look in the eyes of Yahweh. Worry about how you look in the eyes of Yahweh. Because once you get hit with the confrontation of a righteous judgment call and you lie, now you are in contempt with Yahweh because of the deceit in the lying tongue. Deceit in the lying tongue. You know what I'm saying? Don't get yourself in all type of situations now where you sitting up here wondering, well, dang, I should have did this, or I should have done that, and I shouldn't have done this, and I shouldn't have done that. If you just be honest with yourself first. Be honest with yourself first. Ask yourself, Ask yourself, can I really sit here and be like, okay, I want to learn the law. Okay, I want to push the law. But when the law comes back to pop me in my mouth, am I going to be able to bite the bullet? Ask yourself that. You have to ask yourself that. Okay? And then another thing, one more thing. Whenever y'all are making these unrighteous judgments and things like that against the poor or against the rich, whomever, may be innocent, right? In that matter, when you are making unrighteous judgments like that, you have to understand that sometimes those unrighteous judgments, they take a toll on the innocent person. They take a toll on the innocent person, especially if you're dealing with the innocent person who's so used to being able to tell the truth all the way from elementary, middle school, through high school, and someone has always told them that they are wrong, or someone has always told them they didn't see what they saw, or somebody has always tried to paint a picture for them that was not the illustration. You have to always remember what type of psyche you're playing with that person. How would that person look at you at the end of the day after you make this call? And y'all need to get used to, if you offended somebody, fix it right then. Fix it right then. Don't try to wait, till time roll over. Almost here is a week later, 2 months later, trying to fix something or trying to overlook the situation like it didn't happen. Because all you're doing is making a wedge. Sometimes they think time will heal, but sometimes time causes a wedge. Okay? It causes a wedge. So that's all I wanted to say, family, when it comes to Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15, in righteous judgments. Just be mindful when you are judging. Don't favor the side with the rich over the poor. Don't favor the side of the spouse over an innocent. Don't favor the side of the boss over the employee. Don't do it, okay? Especially when you know somebody is wrong in that situation. Or if they both are wrong in that situation, you judge both of them fairly, okay? All right, now I'm going to read it one more time in my Hebrew because I kind of like this. Okay. Oh, and that's another thing. Like, I understand, my mouth be getting beside me as far as, the things that come out of it, the language and stuff like that. I understand that. But you also have to be mindful whenever people do offer, the Hebrew classes and things like that to me, bad as I am. I be like, oh, that's too much. You know what I'm saying? But I understand why it's offered. I definitely do. And I respect those, who are and who have reached out to me as far as giving me a new perspective on things to say, right? So it won't come off so, you know what I'm saying? I understand it. So big ups to you. I definitely do help, Salaki. I definitely do thank you for that. Like, honestly, you know what I'm saying? Because can't nobody say nothing new if they don't know where to start. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go. So, my Hebrew. Lo tat, asu, avel, amishpat, lo tesa, pinadal, valo tadar, paneg adol, kashadet, teshpot, ameteka. And that was Leviticus 19, verse 15. You shall not render an unfair decision. Do not favor the poor or show difference to the rich. Judge your kinsmen, your brethren, fairly. Shalom, Barakai.